I have gotten the things that I thought were gonna make everything better, and spoiler alert, didn't. Things were still wrong. I haven't read a single one of them yet. I'm trying to just let myself be myself. Highly would check them out, highly would check them out. But I definitely will follow up with you guys afterwards, and I just kicked the tripod. You guys can think I'm crazy and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, it's totally fine. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse, and welcome to a little bit of a catch-up. A little bit of a sweatshirt that's choking me. It's totally fine. I thought we could just spend a few minutes catching up on life and things and what's going on. Kind of a follow-up-ish to my January intentions, trying to figure out my plan for the year, kind of how it's going, all that good stuff. So it is February 18th when I'm filming this, just to give you guys some context. So I would say probably like 6-ish weeks since I filmed that video, because it wasn't quite like a New Year's video. And I would say a lot of things are going well. A lot of things I'm still trying to figure out, but I just thought maybe it would be fun, helpful, interesting to check in, as much for me as it is for you. I don't know, for me, I am someone who definitely, if you write it down or talk about it, it can really help frame things for me. And very selfishly, that first video that I made, I don't know where to put my phone. That first video that I made definitely helped me think about things. Your comments were amazing. Just the encouragement and the support and the like not alone with a lot of the feelings really just meant a lot. So thank you guys so much. I feel like I go through phases of just being like so blindered to things going on around me. So it took me a while to kind of work through a lot of things that I was feeling and stuff like that. But here we are. So I've been trying some things are sticking, some things are not. But what I've started to do I've done this before. Anyway, I'm trying to come up with like some monthly challenges. So I'm trying to I'm not trying to overhaul my entire life, but I'm trying to make some small shifts. I'm trying to hopefully make small shifts that'll lead to big shifts, and trying to undo some of my bad habits and tendencies. So I did a 30-day yoga challenge in January, which I've done for the past few years. I'm sure I talked about this in the first video. So Yoga with Adrienne does a 30-day challenge. Krista from Books and Jams turned me on to it a few years ago. And I've really enjoyed A, the challenge of it, and B, just the committing to something every day and doing it. And 3, yoga is really good for you. And I definitely enjoy yoga. And one of my favorite parts, and I say this as someone who has not done a stitch of yoga in the month of February, but being able to see the transformation of my body, not like physically, but like in terms of flexibility, that where I was on day 1 with some moves versus some of the moves on the last day that were easier, that like I could actually I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And then I just haven't gotten back to it. And that's not great, but I did the challenge. So I wanted to do another 30-day challenge in February, but not exercise related. So for February, it is every day I am working on my book. So it doesn't mean writing every day like in Nano, because I am at a second draft. I am actually outlining from my second draft. This is like Pantserland. So I outline after I've written it a few times. I'm also trying different ways of approaching my book. So this seems to be working for me, but some days it's research, some days it's doing the outline, some days it is actually writing. So I have physically worked on my book every day so far, and the goal is to do that for the rest of the month. And then I don't know what March is going to be, but I'm going to continue to create these 30-day challenges for myself, and I want them to be enough that it's a challenge, but like not so ridiculous that I can't achieve it, but not so easy that it's a no-brainer for me. So anyway, I'm having fun playing the game, and that's working for me. And what else? I probably should have grabbed my notes from the first video. So I honestly, I knew I was struggling in January while it was happening, but I feel like I didn't realize it. It's always like what you see in hindsight. So January in New York, like in many other places, was weather-wise very rough. It was freezing, it was icing, it was snowing. You could not get outside. If you guys have been a longtime friend of the channel, you know the happiest place on earth for me is out for a walk. And I couldn't get out of the house. and it was making me stir crazy. And also we went 11 days with no sunshine here, which I felt it, but it wasn't until the sun came out and then there was like a break for a week where you could actually get outside, that I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you I was going for walks after work and I could feel the change in my body almost instantly, in my physical body, in my mood, in everything. And I know it's not healthy to be so reliant on things you cannot control, like weather and sunshine, but I think lesson learned is I need to find ways to cope because bad weather is going to continue to happen, but also realizing how important getting out and doing those things for myself when I can are. So there were definitely some days I did not want to go out for the walk and I pushed myself to do it because I knew it was the right thing for me. And then also knowing like, well, I'm not going to be able to get out tomorrow because it's going to snow again. So it's like a mental trick I was able to play with myself, and it worked a ton. And I also got to listen to more books, which I love. So I'm going to continue to get out when I can. It was a balmy 22 this morning and it snowed yesterday. So did not get out this weekend, but I did push myself out on Friday knowing that this weather was coming, and I'm very glad that I did. So anyway, kind of continuing to learn and shift and just trying to do what I know is right, but also knowing when I need to lean back and take some pressure off myself and like take a day off and all of that good stuff. So January was tough. I really suffered. That's an exaggerated word. I really struggled in January with a lot of things, and a lot of it was driven by the weather. And I know that I need to find other ways to cope because I can't control the weather. Literally, I've really tried and it doesn't work. So February has been a bit better, and yeah, just going to continue to work on it. And then not even 4 weeks from now, it's going to be after daylight savings, and like it's going to be light out at almost 7 o'clock at night. I can't wait. And I have seen such a dramatic shift already, like in January, even though it was gloomy, but to not be pitch black outside at 5 p.m. when I'm like trying to get out the door for a walk, just, it changes everything. It changes everything. So that's kind of like end of day ritual. So I am still doing my morning writing rituals. So again, if you guys have been a long time follower of the channel or watched any of my vlogs, I have done so many different versions of a gratitude journal. I did the 5-minute journal. I was just doing it on my own. And then, I don't know when this was. It could have been a couple months ago. Haley in Bookland had a vlog up. She had come to California, so she's in Canada. And she did a like shopping haul at Target, and she showed this book. It says make your own magic. I feel like it's gold and it's not gonna quite focus. I don't know. It's kind of shiny. And I was like, ooh, what's that? So it is kind of a combination of a gratitude journal, intentions, kind of tracking things for yourself. So what I loved about the 5-minute journal is you did a morning check-in and a nighttime check-in. And then I had incorporated in something I saw that Mel Robbins did about 5 things that you want and writing them down every day. So this gives you space to kind of do all of those things. So it starts with setting your intentions for the day, inspirations for the day, things you're going to let go of, things you're grateful for. You can track your mood, a mantra, and then at the end of the day, what made today great, what you did for yourself, what you did for other people, what your goal is for the next day. And I just love the ritual of it. So I fill this out almost every day. Like yesterday, I didn't even realize I forgot to do it. So yesterday was Saturday. I started the day with my Sisters in Crime write-in, and I was in a great groove. And then I started to clean up after breakfast. And then I was like I worked on my book unhaul, and I came out for lunch and this was sitting on the dining room table. And I was like, oh, I never did that today. So it's fine if you don't do it every single day, or you do whatever you want to do. But I do it as often as possible. And I do find that it's helpful for me to just take those beats, and especially to reflect back on the day and find what was good about it, because it's very easy for me to find what was bad. So I've been doing a gratitude journal since maybe 2019. I've been doing it for a long time, and I do think it's made a big difference in my life and my perspective in a lot of ways. So I highly recommend it if you're looking for something to try. And then I talked about in another video, and I didn't have it with me, it's the 5 year a day. It's the 1 line a day 5-year journal. So I heard about this concept. There's plenty of these that you can get out in the world, but the Bad on Paper podcast was talking about it. So I want to say Olivia Mentor was talking about it, and then Becca started to do it. So I started to do this. I'm just going back and looking. You don't have to start it on January 1. I'm like really trying to let go of the perfectionism piece of me. I'm like, when did I start this thing? I started it on July 1st. So I probably bought it like towards the end of June and just decided to clean slate it on July 1, but you can really start it any day. So I'm going to just show you a blank page. So basically what it is it's not going to be clear. I'll put in I'll talk over it. So it says like June 4th, and then it has 5 slots. So every year you can write 1 line, or you can like fill her up. Like I'm always like filling her up because I always have way too much to say, but it's just like a great memory book, and to be able to look back, and you can write anything you want. It's yours, it's your journal. So whether you want to document the day or how you're feeling or something great that happened or whatever it is, but I've really enjoyed the ritual of this. And I'm excited when I actually get to July to see what I wrote the year before. I found a journal when I was cleaning yesterday, and it was from the beginning of 2021. And there were so many things that I wanted to change that haven't changed. And it was such a gut punch of like, wow, I need to do some work. So anyway, enjoying both of these, continuing with these. They work for me. I love them. And then what else am I doing? Something else that you guys asked me about. So I had talked about writing events and leaning into writing events. And I have been doing more than usual. And I would say like compared to last year. So I will list some resources down below, but the Writers League of Texas is one that I discovered via Kristen Bird, who is an author that I adore. And I read all 3 of her books. Her new book is coming out in March, and she was doing a free event with them. So I want to say they do third Thursdays are free events, talking about their writing routines, talking about how they plot their books. It was her and 2 other authors. And I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the community of it. You obviously do not need to live in Texas. It is on Zoom, and getting to hear authors talk about their process and how they approach things. I just live for that stuff. That is like my candy. So I found out through that they also have paid events that they do. So I signed up for the point of view training, I guess you would call it a training, that Kristen did. I signed up for that event, which was really, really good. But if you go to their YouTube channel, Writers League of Texas, you can see all of their free events on there. Check out their website. You can sign up for a whole bunch of stuff. And then if you want to opt into some of the paid events, obviously you can do that too. And if you are in Texas, they do have in-person events as well. But I have enjoyed that. I am a member of Sisters in Crime. It is paid. It is not a lot of money, I think, for the benefit of it. I joined it a couple years ago. You did get a discount through NaNoWriMo at the time, which is when I signed up. I was a fantastic lurker. I definitely participated in some of the trainings that they did, but it wasn't until this past Nano that I started to do the write-ins. So again, you have to be a paid member to be able to join them. But if it's of interest to you, I highly recommend it. It's such a fantastic community. I had no idea. And I've been listening to the Sisters in Crime podcast for a really long time. And I don't know who it was, and I'm not going to remember. But it was an author talking about how meaningful Sisters in Crime was to her, and how it dispelled this myth where she thought, as a new writer, as a wannabe debut, as a wannabe getting published, you did all that work in private, and you did all that work behind the scenes. And after you get published, after you get the contract, that's when you make all your writer friends. And she was like, I learned after joining that I made all of these friends and built all of this community, and I would not have been as successful had I not built that community, because maybe I would have quit, or maybe I wouldn't have made a connection, or maybe I wouldn't have had the right encouraging word when I needed it. And I definitely had that same mentality of like, well, I just do all this on my own and alone, and being a writer is a lot of time alone. And after the book deal, that's when I'm going to make some friends. And not even that joining the write-ins takes much bravery because you're literally just at your computer, your camera's off. It's not like you're seeing anybody, you're just there. You don't even have to comment in the comment section if you don't want to. But I fell in love with it, and it has made such a difference, like, to how I feel about writing, to being able to talk to people about it, to having a group of people that I come to. So there's three 8 a.m. sessions a week. There's 4, I'm just gonna like butcher this entire thing. Tuesdays and Fridays, there's 4 sessions. Saturdays, there's 2. They might build in some more. And it's just huge and it's great. And there are paid sessions. There's free events that you can do. They also have a YouTube channel where any of their free content you can see. So highly would check them out. Highly would check them out. And then if there's other writers that you're interested in, if you just check out their pages, sometimes it could be they're at Poison Pen and you can watch the live event. And I don't live in Arizona, so I can't go, but I can watch it from my home. Or Instagram is a great place to find stuff. I just did a free class on structure with Megan Collins, who wrote The Family Plot. Really interesting about different ways that you can structure your novel. And I think if you just start signing up for different things, so again, I'll keep some resources down below, but there's a lot of free options. And then there's, you know, some, I think, reasonable paid options. And then if you want to whole hog and do like a thriller fest or something, it is not inexpensive, but I love it. So stay tuned, because I will not necessarily be like reporting from the sidelines, but I definitely will follow up with you guys afterwards. And I just kicked the tripod. So anyway, that's that. And what else? I'm reading, which has felt good. So I actually just finished this book. Just want to make sure I'm not going to kick something else over. I just finished listening to this book called Building a Non-Anxious Life by Dr. John Deloney. So he showed up on a podcast that I was listening to, and he was actually on a podcast that was about decluttering and the toxicity that your stuff can bring to you. And I am struggling with my bookcase, and I talked about decluttering, I think, in my original January video. But this was one of those books where I found his style to be very palatable. He's kind of like chatting with your friend. There's a couple like hokey jokes that are thrown in there, but it's scientific without being bogged down in science. He speaks very clearly. He breaks stuff down. It's not condescending. It's not teachy, even though he is teaching stuff. He shares stories. But when I heard that he had this book, I was like, well, let me see what cooking at the library. So I really like his approach to stuff. And again, it wasn't necessarily new information, and this has always been my experience with self-help books. For me, it's all in how it's packaged. I take what I take, I leave what I leave. And there were definitely some good takeaways. There were some good reminders. There was some good framing of stuff. And sometimes that's what I need. Like, one of the things he talked about was like how every item in your home is a decision that needs to be made, and talking about like every item in your home is a to-do. So whether it's I have to read this book, or I have to dust this one, or I have to dust this bookshelf, or I have to clean these dishes, or when I'm done filming, I have to break down these lights, and I have to move this plant over here, and I have to water that plant over there. Like, every single item in your home is a decision and a to-do, and how all that can weigh on you. And I was like, wow. You know, whether it's what am I going to wear, what am I going to clean, what am I going to iron, you know, where am I going to put my sneaker, like whatever it is. Like, there's just this idea that everything, talking about overwhelming to-do lists and never getting it all done, and just like feeling like you're always behind, and that how everything you own is something that needs to be done, and really makes you want to throw everything out the window sometimes. So I just found that really interesting. And he talks a lot about your finances and, you know, getting out from under them, and just so many different things. But I found it really helpful and interesting, and I definitely had some good takeaways from it. So I'm trying to kind of balance fiction and a bit more of nonfiction, and books that are going to, I don't know, resonate, hit home, maybe give me some guidance. So the next one I'm planning to read is called 4,000 Weeks. This is Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. So this was the Bad on Paper book club pick for January. I listened to their book club because I was just curious about it, and I'm very interested in the book. So kind of the premise of this one, it says the average human lifespan is absurdly, insultingly brief. Assuming you live to be 80, you have just over 4,000 weeks. I feel like this is going to be a tough book in terms of like a mortality conversation. So nobody needs telling there isn't enough time. We're obsessed with our lengthening to-do lists, our overfilled inboxes, work-life balance, and the ceaseless struggle against distraction. And we're deluged with advice on becoming more productive and efficient and life hacks to optimize our days. But such techniques often end up making things worse. The sense of anxious hurry grows more intense, and still the most meaningful parts of life just seem to lie just beyond the horizon. Still, we rarely make the connection between our daily struggles with time and the ultimate time management problem, the challenge of how better to use our 4,000 weeks. So I've heard really good things about this. I'm definitely intrigued. I borrowed it from my library, so I'm planning to read that one next from the self-help vein. So stay tuned for that. And then I would say I'm doing a good job on my 2024 new releases. I'm doing a less good job on my 12 and 24. I haven't read a single one of them yet. Partially because I had, no shock, more than one list of 12 and 24 books because I was thinking about it. And they were on scraps of paper because of course they were, because why would I be organized? And I had referenced one and I was like, oh, look at me. I read First Light Wins. I've already knocked a book off my list. And then I realized that was not the correct list. So I haven't actually read any of them yet. It's fine. But I have done my read with Christy for January. I read the January book, which was The Mysterious Affair at Styles. And then I read a second book, which is The Man in the Brown Suit, which was just a bonus fun for me. So the February book is The Secret Adversary. I haven't read it yet, but it has made it to my dining room table. So we're making progress there. So I'm excited to read it. I just have fallen into Audrey is in a mood. And I read 3 back-to-back thriller books. The last one really messed with me. Night Watching by Tracy Sierra. It was fantastic, but it was a ball of tension, Taylor Adams style kind of a book. And I have craved... I would say I've craved something lighter. So I read one rom-com and now I'm back into a dark and messed up book. But I have not been drawn to Agatha just yet, but I'm going to get to her. So I've been doing good with my Agatha Christie. I've been doing not good with my 12 and 24. What other goals have I set for myself? I've been doing decent, I would say, with Instagram. Not as good as I would want to be because my goal is to get ahead of it so I'm not always working on a post the day I want to post it. So I'm trying to figure out how I can better manage that. And a lot of that is in terms of like, I'm trying to do more book reviews and I'm just not writing the reviews right away. And if you follow me on Goodreads, you'll notice a lot of them are like full review to follow because I want to be able to star the book for the author, get that part out there, especially before its publication date. But I'm not physically writing the reviews because it takes me, again, not a shocker, a really long time because I overthink everything and I can't get out of my own head. And this is who I am as a human being and I know it, but I'm working on it. So book reviews are something where I could certainly work on them ahead of time or like work on them as I read the books and then post them like over the course of a week or so. But anyway, I'm still trying to figure out kind of the right answer there. And I feel similarly about YouTube where I've been hitting my at least one video a week, which is fantastic. And I don't even know if I told you guys that was my goal. It might have just been something I told Lindsay. So 1 video a week is my goal and I've been hitting it. And part of it is I don't want to use YouTube as a distraction / procrastination tool from doing my writing because I really want to hit this May deadline that I've set for myself and I am making writing progress, but I think no, I need to be doing more. So I'm getting in my early morning hours and I feel good. It's like when I would work out in the morning or I would go for a walk before work and I'm like, good, done, check, off the list, did it. Don't need to do a second workout. So I'm doing my early morning writing and I'm very much in that bad habit of being like, good, done, check. I don't need to write again today, where if I actually want to hit the goals, I do need to write more than once a day. So that's something I need to work on. I'm doing decent-ish with sleep. I'm trying to get to bed earlier and I'm aware of it and I'm trying, and some days are better than others because nobody's perfect and I'm not trying to be, but I'm definitely working on that and getting there, I guess I would say. I've done a round of donations. I did my unhaul. You guys may or may not have seen it by now. I filmed it. I don't know if it's gone up yet. I'm not sure what order things are going in, but if it's gone up, I will post it for you guys. If it hasn't, just know there's a book on haul coming. I'm trying to manage, not necessarily a one in, one out, but I recognize that a decent amount of books have come in since the holidays, partial gifts, partial publisher things, partial Audrey emotionally shopping, because that's just who I am as a human. And I need to just move some stuff out, which we're working on. And by we, I mean me. I don't know why I always refer to myself in the plural. It's just me. It's just me. So yeah, that's all going. And now I'm like looking around. I'm like, what else is happening? I mean, I'm staying on top of life, which feels kind of good. Sort of staying on top of life. I'm staying on top of cleaning. I like to clean. That is not a burden for me. That is such a happy place for me. I definitely have life that I need to stay on top of. That maybe is going less well, but you know, trying. So it just continues to be an evolution, but I do feel, so my theme was consistency. I think I have been consistent in a lot of ways that matter. So even though I haven't been able to get out, still trying to do stuff at home, still trying to move my body every day, trying to do the 30 minutes, trying to do some weights, you know, dancing counts, like it all counts. And definitely just trying to do what feels right for me. And that's one of the themes of Adrienne's yoga, like find what feels good and do that, because there is no one right answer. And what feels good today might not feel good tomorrow, and sort of recognizing all of those things. And live. I was like, what was my word? My word was to live. I do feel like in some ways I am. And again, it was never meant to be like taking a crazy trip or like getting on a roller coaster or anything like that. But I've pushed myself a little bit out of my comfort zone with making a writing friend online. And I'm happy about that. And I'm happy about my Sisters in Crime group so very much. And I'm really trying to just continue to be more comfortable with myself. And I don't know, like I feel like I definitely, and I say I feel like all the time, I definitely censor myself in that I see it in my writing too. Nobody is going to read what I'm currently typing into Scrivener as it is today. And even like I was writing this morning. So again, I'm outlining from my second draft. So I'm reading a chapter and trying to outline what happens in it. The astounding number of typos in this, I don't even know. So some of these sentences are like pure gibberish. This is like 5:30 in the morning brain, but I definitely can feel myself when I'm typing being like, oh no, don't say that. And then trying to clean it up a little bit rather than just like say the thing, whatever it is. If it's poorly written, if it's not right, if it's rude or crass or whatever, I can fix it later. But I'm holding myself back in the moment. My camera cut me off, which means I've already talked to you guys way too much. But anyway, I'm trying to trust my gut. I'm trying to just let myself be myself and not hold back or quiet myself or censor myself in that kind of a way. And again, it's not that I'm saying offensive things or doing offensive things, but I feel like I'm definitely trying to like have a filtered version of myself out there. And there's definitely times to think before you speak. I totally will own that. But typing your book is not one of them. And even some of my ideas that I have maybe for Instagram, I will talk myself out of them before I even do them. And it's like, just do it, just try it. And I think I need to push myself a bit more to try some new things and to not be so scared to try new things. So I definitely have, the insecurity definitely like bubbles up a lot. And I'm second guessing myself a lot, and I'm having a hard time with words. So anyway, I do think overall I'm moving in the right direction. There have been a 2-step forward, 1-step back kind of moments. That's just life. And I'm not feeling bad, but it also is a roller coaster. So it's not all good and not all bad. I'm like everybody else out there. I've got bad days too, but I do think some of the choices I am making are the right choices, and they're pushing me in the right direction, and I'm doing what is right for me. And I will leave you guys on this note, and I will link it down below. So Olivia Mentor, who is one of the co-hosts of Bad on Paper, she has her debut novel coming out this summer. She has a great Substack, and she wrote a Substack article about the in-between. And she was talking about, so her and her husband bought like 100-year-old home up in the Hudson Valley, and they're renovating it. And she talked about, you know, these visions, and I can completely relate to this, of like the perfect before and after picture and the curated content you're going to have, and all this great content of like, it looks like this today, and next month it's going to be this perfect vision that I have. And how over the years, she's always thought about the after, and how great it's going to be after, and how much better it's going to be after, and how things are going to change after. But what about the in-between, which is basically where we all live, and recognizing the greatness in this time, and not always, and like this is something that comes up a lot in meditation also, time spent thinking about the future and the past is wasted because it's done and it hasn't happened yet. Like, you need to focus in the present. And I think about this with clothing declutterings, where it's like saving the clothes for the fantasy vacation, or when I lose the weight, or when I, you know, X, Y, and Z, when I get the job again, or whatever it is, when I get to the fancy wedding. And just having, not saying you should like chuck everything in your closet, but like having the things that serve you now and the things that make you happy in this moment, and not living for later. So living in the in-between, because the in-between can be a really good place to be. And I am definitely very guilty of, it will be better when, I will be happier when, things will be better when, and the after, when I have this, if I had that. And what I have is perfectly good enough. And what I have is very, like, I have so much to be grateful for and so much to be happy about, and not appreciating it is just such a colossal waste of time and such a missed opportunity. So living in the past, which I'm also guilty of, and wishing for things to be different in the future, and spending time in the now just being unhappy because it's not where I want to be, or I think I should be, or I mean, I have gotten the things that I thought were going to make everything better, and spoiler alert, didn't. Things were still wrong. Things were still bad. There were still problems. So like, there is no one cure-all be-all. And it was just such a great reminder, and the way she framed it and talked about it. I love her writing style. I love her perspective. And I just loved that concept of like being happy in this in-between where we are. So I will link her Substack down below if you guys are interested in reading that article. And yeah, I will leave you there. So I am in the in-between, and it's okay. I'm doing okay. I'm feeling okay. So thank you again, everybody, for all of your warm and wonderful comments, and just not like making me not feel like I'm alone, because it's very easy to feel like you're the only one who feels a certain way or is having a certain struggle. And I just am so very grateful for everybody and for everyone who watched it. And just, you guys are amazing. You guys are absolutely amazing. So I don't know if this is of any interest, these kinds of check-ins. Let me know. Let me know how you're doing. But again, selfishly, this feels very therapeutic for me, and I really appreciate it. It always helps me to talk it out. So that's what's happening. Stay tuned for more videos. Like I said, there's an unhaul. I've got March new releases. I've got some wrap-ups. And beyond that, I'm not sure. I was going to talk about some series. I owe you guys an Under the Radar coming out. I know it feels like I'm just... And somebody made this delicious comment, and I was like, oh, dang it. This is like my worst nightmare. Does it feel like I'm talking about the same books over and over again? Because I feel like it does. And that's why I stopped doing like some recommendations, because I felt like I just was recommending the same books over and over again. Although I did get a comment about an updated, like non-dark and messed up thriller. So I am going to start working on that list. And I need to go find the original video so I make sure I don't duplicate any of them. But if you guys want to let me know other content you're interested in, I'm happy to listen and look for ideas that you guys, content you're interested in. But I'm trying to not be repetitive, but I realize when it comes to new releases, I'm so guilty. I'm so guilty. And especially because weird for me, I'm talking about new releases, I'm actually buying them, and then I'm actually reading them, and then I'm reviewing them. So you're totally hearing about the same books like 4 times over. Yeah, that's a thing that's happening. So anyway, all right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to make myself some lunch, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day, night, whenever it is you guys are watching this, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.